Today I want to focus on Israeli society to give you a glimpse of where we are as a society 16 months into this war, with losing so many of our holy IDF soldiers, signing on to a deal that Professor Alan Dershowitz calls an extortion deal that has Hamas releasing only some of our hostages from Gaza in exchange for Israel having to pull out our troops from Gaza, giving up almost all of the territory that we liberated in this war, allowing Gazans to return to their destroyed communities near Israeli communities, and obviously also to free thousands of their barbaric terrorists. Well, one of the hostages recently released was Liri Elbag. In a press conference afterwards, the families were united, and Liri Elbag's father said the following, as this Hebrew news title says, quote, "Opponents of the deal, the people will reckon with you. I despise you." End quote. And here is Liri's father's full statement. Quote, "My beautiful Israel, I am excited for the first time in front of the cameras. Liri is back. But there are 90 more hostages, including the Bibas family, Agam Berger, Arbel Yehud, and others. I want to say to the Prime Minister of Israel and the members of the government, to the coalition and to the opposition, to those who supported the deal, my heart is with them. To the opponents of the deal, the nation will have revenge against you. When you saw my daughter and the other 3 hostages released with her leave Gaza with a smile, with pride, where were those of you who voted against the deal when all the people stood happy? The Prime Minister took a brave step, and I despise you," talking to the opponents of the deal. End quote. With all the empathy, love, and support that Israeli society gives to Liri's father and all the families of the hostages in Gaza, this statement was not received well by many in Israel, generating many, many public responses. I want to share two of those responses with you today. The first one is from the father of the late Amit Bunzal, an IDF soldier killed fighting in Gaza, trying to defeat our enemies and free our hostages. Quote, "Eli Albag, you are no longer the father of a kidnapped daughter, as God has blessed you to be able to change that title. I wish I could also get to change my title of a bereaved father. I will no longer get to fly by helicopter to the southern border to pick up my son, Amit. Eli, this is the time to bow your head. Say thank you to everyone who worked for the release of your beloved daughter, and certainly not to threaten revenge against anyone who was against the deal. For the release of your daughter, a morally and ethically binding act, many Jews will pay the price with their lives in the years to come. Those murderers who were released will do everything to murder more Jews again. Therefore, it is clear to everyone that the part of the deal that deals with the release of murderers is the worst part of this deal. Dear man, go concentrate on the restoration of your family and free us from the style that you used in your statement that was not right, even with your justified concern for your beloved daughter. Once your status is changed for the better, we will not allow you to continue in the rude style you just used, and we will definitely criticize you and anyone whose status changes later. Good luck, and welcome home to your daughter, a heroine of Israel." End quote. And here's another exemplary response that I want to share with you. Quote, "Hi, dear Elbag family. My name is Aviv, and I'm happily married to Lior, an IDF reservist who has been serving for over 250 days in this war, like half of the men in the state of Israel. We oppose the deal. And for that, you despise me and my husband, who has been giving his all for the benefit of our homeland and trying to free the hostages? There is a tendency to forget that October 7th happened because of a deal. The deal Israel made, freeing over 1,000 Hamas terrorists to free one IDF soldier, Gilad Shalit. It was those Hamas terrorists who were the planners and organizers and leaders of October 7th. Yesterday I heard your speech, and that of the other families, and my heart went out to you. You have finally hugged the ones dearest to you, and for that, many thanks to God above and to our holy IDF soldiers who did everything possible so that this can be realized. But in the same breath, you spat in our faces. I have never expressed an opinion regarding the fighting in the war or the fight for the return home of our hostages. But here, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that this is the thanks my husband and all of his friends are receiving for voluntarily leaving their homes, their families, their children, and their lives in favor of doing everything they could to fight and bring the hostages home. We will continue to embrace, fight, and support you in any way we can, but please don't spit in our holy soldiers' faces. This is not the way." End quote. Those are two powerful responses that are exemplary of the plethora of responses that are going on right now in Israel. You can hear both sides of the argument here in Israel. And the sad thing is that this didn't have to be. Israeli society was united to win this war and end the evil Islamo-Nazi enemy against us. And in the end, we have been manipulated by powerful forces without and within to stop us from following through to accomplish that just and moral goal. A powerful elite in Israel with lots of funding ran the Bring Them Home campaign. That was a strategic and moral disaster for Israel because it played directly into Hamas's hands, amplifying their leverage against us. And I'll do another video specifically about that. But in general, instead of focusing blame on Hamas, Iran, Qatar, the true culprits responsible for the horrific October 7th massacre, raping, and kidnapping of our hostages, the Bring Them Home campaign shifted the pressure onto the Israeli government, dividing Israeli society and weakening our resolve to destroy our enemies. The campaign was totally politicized from the outset, led by anti-Netanyahu, anti-right-wing activists who effectively empowered Hamas to continually raise the price to free our hostages, giving them the victory they craved. Worse, it distracted the Israeli public from the real purpose of this war, to eliminate the Islamo-Nazi threat in Gaza and ensure the safety of Israelis forever, so that another October 7th can never happen again. A proper campaign would have united Israelis, placed total blame on Hamas, pressured international organizations like the UN, UNRWA, and Red Cross to take action instead of being complicit. Instead, their campaign allowed Hamas to dictate the terms, undermining our strategic goals and emboldening our enemies, thinking that half the public in Israel was against the government and the government was at fault. Tragically, this division was highlighted in Lee's father's statement of public disappointment and even revenge against those of us in Israel who opposed the deal. This is heartbreaking because it demonstrates how deeply Hamas, with help from our own and from the outside, succeeded in fracturing Israeli society from within, a core objective of their kidnapping strategy. By playing into this, the Bring Them Home campaign not only emboldened our enemies, but also sowed distrust and division among us, making the ultimate goal of victory against Hamas that much harder to achieve. This is the same small, powerful elite in Israel that protested against the judicial reform and against Netanyahu for years, trying to topple him at all costs. It is so sad how they successfully hijacked the hostage issue, an issue that unites us all in the middle of a war that we have to win. We have to win. And they turned the hostage issue into a divisive political campaign that weakens us, weakens our people, strengthens our enemy, and endangers all of us by the release of terrorists. And I just want to end by reminding us all how important it is to stay focused, because we are up against absolute evil, not just from our Islamo-Nazi enemies in the Middle East, but also the silence of the Western world, our allies. The grandmother of Shani Luke, a Nova Music Festival attendee killed on October 7th, whose broken and half-naked body was paraded through the streets of Gaza on that tragic October 7th day. The grandmother said the following after a photograph of terrorists holding Shani Luke's body won a prestigious award in an international photo competition. Shani Luke's grandmother said the following, and I quote, "My dead granddaughter has been featured in a photograph that won a prestigious photo contest. and the world is silent. My granddaughter's body, after she was brutally murdered and taken to Gaza as a symbol of victory, is being displayed for public viewing, and the world is silent. My granddaughter's body, after vile killers broke her bones to force her into a van, a body that was full of life, love, and light just hours before, was thrown like a victory trophy to terrorists and vile photographers. And the world is silent. My beautiful dead granddaughter, surrounded by 3 bloodthirsty assassins. This is the heroic photo that won first place in a prestigious photo contest. And the world is silent. And I'm screaming, are you? When in the history of photography has a photo of a corpse won a prize? How much more pain can we endure? 3 people shouting, Allahu Akbar! One despicable photographer and my crushed granddaughter. And the world is silent, and the world is silent, and the world is silent. End quote from Shani Luke's grandmother. No words. I'm broken. But remember this, everyone. The existence of the Jewish people in the world represents God's existence and hence morality. And that is why we are always so hated, and that is why the world is up against us, even the Western world that is going against God. The world will only break its silence and stand for morality when they see the Jewish people in the Jewish state of Israel standing firmly strong against the evil and immorality around us, despite the pressure placed upon us, even from our allies. We can never expect the sympathy and support of the world. Yes, there are amazing people who support the Jewish people in the Jewish state of Israel, but few of the world leaders, thought leaders, influencers, and media. And we thank you for your support, but it is up to us to do the right thing despite what the world says or pressures us to do. Because as the photo contest and the horrific hostage extortion deal prove, nobody of influence is standing up against the evil to help us. It's up to us alone, with your support. We can and we must do it, first of all, to save ourselves here in Israel, but then to be the role model for all other nations in the world to be able to stand up themselves against the growing evil around them that their leaders are also silent about. We, the Jewish people, we will overcome. We are going through a wake-up process that is painful, but we will overcome. The future of the Jewish people back as sovereign in our ancestral homeland is a great future. Not because of any human leader in Israel or abroad, but because of God above and because of us. And yes, we are still united in purpose, in who we are as a people in Israel, to live, to thrive, and to beat our enemies. And we will not let a small, tiny elite defeat us from within, using our enemies. We won't let it. They'll have little successes here and there, and they are painful. But the Jewish people, we are united in purpose. Am Yisrael Chai. It's a painful wake-up process, but we're going to get out of this bigger, better, and more empowered than before. We're going to defeat that evil, and we're going to be the role model for the whole freedom-loving world. That's it for today's Pulse of Israel. I hope you share this message. It is so important. And if you are not yet a subscriber to our daily, belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect Pulse of Israel videos, what are you waiting for? Go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe. And we are a donor-based operation. We need your support to make our videos and get them seen, as we are heavily censored across all social media platforms. It's up to your donations, big or small, that allow us to be seen, and we want to be seen by even more people and inspire even more people. So every once in a while, go to pulseofisrael.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.